Hi, this is Frank J. Avella with Awards Daily. Today in our Oscar Legends series, we have a true cinematic icon whose eclectic film career has just entered its fifth decade. She won 2 Academy Awards for Hannah and Her Sisters and Bullets Over Broadway, and was nominated a third time for Parenthood. She's created nuanced characters in films such as Falling in Love, Radio Days, The Birdcage, Rabbit Hole, and just last year in I Care a Lot and Let Them All Talk. And that's naming a very few. She's a theater legend and a TV veteran with 2 Emmy Awards. And she just delivered a powerhouse turn as Miriam McCluskey, the fierce no bullshit mother in Paramount Plus's series Mayor of Kingstown. I'm proud to welcome Dianne Wiest.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dianne. This is a thrill. I have to say that researching your work, I realize I've seen almost every film you're in. So I had a glorious time doing this rewatch of research in the last week or so. So why don't we start by chatting a little bit?
You're awake after
Well, why don't we start by chatting a little bit about Miriam, and then we'll work our way back. Tell me how you got involved in Mayor.
Well, they sent me Sheridan, Taylor Sheridan sent me the script, and I read it, and I was hungry to do it because about 8 years ago I read The New Jim Crow, and that book sort of cracked me, and I had no idea America has the greatest mass incarceration system in the world, bigger than China, bigger than Russia. I had no idea what we were doing with poor people, people of color, immigrants. We're throwing them in jail. And that's why our system is so huge, and it's for profit. So when I read Mayor of Kingston, and it took place in this one ring circus, and the ring are 5 prisons in this one small town, and everybody is working for the prisons or is in the prisons, and that's all there is. These tribes of people set against each other. The cops are a tribe, the corrections officers are a tribe, the prisoners are a tribe. Within the prison, there's many tribes. Then the outsiders. I teach in the prison. My husband was killed, and my oldest son was in the series is killed, doing their jobs, not by prisoners, but by gangs, and just a regular robbery, really, was how my son was killed. I'm sorry, I'm going on, and I answered your question.
No, that's okay. Well, I mean, Miriam, she's such a damaged character. And I was wondering, how do you go to those dark places? Because in TV, you just get these little snippets of moments as opposed to a play.
Right. It's really, at least for me, I've never known how to calibrate, if that's the word. I fail at that constantly, and I so admire all the actors around me who it seems like it's effortless to them. And it's never been that way for me. And I'm jealous of the people that it's effortless for, because they sit there and they talk about, their children or the day's news, and then they turn this button and they're just another person, or a phenomenal rage comes or whatever, and I can't talk to anybody. It's like I can't walk and chew gum. I can't act and do anything else. Wow. Which is I can fool around on the set and everything if I don't have anything to say. If I have anything to say that's longer than a word, I have to isolate myself, and it's a drag. And it's that way, whether it's one line or, pages. It sort of doesn't matter.
Well, it's very interesting because in episode 9, you have these amazing moments, the sit the fuck down to Kyle, where you're trying to reach him.
Right.
Yeah, and then in the later scenes with the woman who was assaulted, I mean, there's just these little snippets of you're trying to give strength to these people. It was phenomenal.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I was wondering, is there a lot that is filmed that doesn't end up in the final series?
There was a lot that was filmed. Yeah, it couldn't have all been in there. I think it follows the scripts the episodes pretty closely, but there were days of shooting, to get one little thing. And I think part of that is because of all the guns and the violence and the blood and the bruises and the days were very long. Not so much for me, but for other actors and the crew. I mean, they were incredible. I don't know how they were still standing at the end of all this, but.
Well, I'd like to go back to the very beginning of your film career, and I know your debut in feature films was in Claudia Weil's It's My Turn, and then right after you did I'm Dancing as Fast as I Can, both films with Jill Clayburgh. Could you tell me about getting your first film roles and what that experience was like for you?
Yeah. I was waitressing and trying to do plays and working at the public theater here and having done a few things and then had spent years in regional theater, but I thought I'm always gonna be poor if I keep on acting, because nobody was interested in me for television or for film. And so I went to this audition, and in the room was Claudia and Jill, and Claudia was looking through her things and looking very tired, and Jill was looking very interested. And then Claudia turned to Jill and said, okay. And Jill said, yeah. And I walked out, and then Jill must have said to Claudia something. But anyway, Claudia came barreling out the hall, down the hall at me saying, wait, don't leave, don't leave. And I think it was Jill who cast me as her friend in that role.
Wow. Well, it's funny watching the two of you together, especially in I'm Dancing. I like to think of things in terms of synchronicitous film history, and I imagine Jill passing the torch to you as the next generation.
It's so incredible, Frank, because I just heard from Lily Ray, Jill's daughter, who's an actor, and she's putting together a film and asked me to do something which I can't do because of Mayor. But I wrote to her, that your mom was really gave me my first film job and was such an inspiration to me. And your dad, I think, is a great, great playwright and a great person. And I just wrote that to her yesterday. So it's very strange that you're saying this, because it's uncanny, actually.
Wow. It was rather extraordinary film. I just rewatched it again a few nights ago. So then in 1984, it was very interesting because you had these two films. You had Footloose and Falling in Love. One was a smash hit. The other was with Robert De Niro and Meryl Streep, and it was kind of maligned by the critics. And I just rewatched it, and I thought it was a rather sweet film, actually.
It is a sweet film with them. They're so wonderful. Yeah. I mean, you can't go wrong with De Niro and Streep.
Right. But what struck me was you played this kind of version of Samantha on Sex and the City way before Samantha was created.
Yeah, she was kind of rough. Yeah. I never thought of that, but yeah.
Yeah, you did. You should get credit for that.
Okay.
Then in 1985, the Woody Quartet began. And I'm talking about Before Bullets, starting with Purple Rose, one of my all-time favorite films, because I'm a movie lover, so how could it not be? How did that come about? You're meeting Woody and getting Purple Rose.
Well, I was just incredibly lucky. I was doing a play. I was doing Three Sisters, and then I was doing After the Fall by Arthur Miller. And Diane Keaton came, I guess, to both of them. And Jeffrey Curlin, Woody's costume designer, had also seen both of them. And they both, Woody and Diane and Jeffrey, spoke to Woody about me. And so my agent, Sam, set up an audition. He was casting Purple Rose and set up an audition. And I walked in and he was reading the Daily News. He'll swear he wasn't, but he was reading the Daily News. He says he was reading my resume. And he just had his head down. And the interview was with this wonderful woman, his assistant, Jane. And then it was just a couple of seconds, really. And Jane said, may I take a Polaroid? And I said, sure. And I smiled. And when I smiled, my eyes, my beady little eyes disappeared. So I said, oh, wait, my eyes disappeared. Can I do it again? And he laughed. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. He really is, partaking of this somehow. When he sort of went, and she took the Polaroid again, and then I was out. And the actor who was next in, she said, already? What happened? Why didn't he see it? It was really just 60 seconds. All this happened. And she panicked. She said, it's that quick? What happened to you? He didn't like you? And I thought, who knows? And lo and behold, I got the job.
Wow. Wow, that's incredible. And from that wonderful role as the hooker with a heart of gold, basically.
Right.
Yep. Hannah came, and you and Barbara and Mia created this incredible sisterly bond on screen. I was wondering.
Time. Sorry, Frank.
No, that's okay. I was going to say it seemed like such a magical, film, and I was wondering, was filming as magical as it seemed?
It was. It really was. For me, it was just, like I landed in some paradise. And he was so lovely. He's a really sweet guy, but he's very serious when he's directing. He wants what he wants, and he gets it. And there was Michael Caine, and Woody was acting. Yeah. I mean, it was just, it was like, for me, it was really an out of earth experience, It was magical. It was a magical time.
And then you got to work also with Carrie Fisher.
I did. Yeah, Carrie wasn't too well during that film. She wasn't doing too well, but she did wonderful work. Wonderful work.
Yeah, one of my favorite scenes is the date that you have with Woody that went really wrong.
Sam Waterston.
Oh my God, yeah. So good.
Right, the architect. Right.
What was winning the Academy Award like? Did you expect it that night?
No, it's like, sometimes things happen and they're wasted on you. It wasn't wasted on me. I was aware of the enormity of it, but it was so enormous, I wasn't there. And Woody I was shooting Radio Days when all this happened. And Woody's very dismissive of the Oscars, for his own reasons. But, I said, oh my gosh, I don't have anything to wear. And they got me stuff Jeffrey got me clothes from wardrobe, and I tried on this dress. He liked that dress. And it was really beautiful, but I wanted a Cinderella Goes to the Ball dress, and Woody said, I showed him the Cinderella Goes to the Ball dress, which I ended up wearing. He said, don't wear that. Don't wear it. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But I needed to feel like I was Cinderella, and I didn't listen to him, much to my despair now. This is all hindsight, you understand. Then I was just, you couldn't reason with me if you tried.
Well,
And my father was dying. My father was dying during Hannah. So that added another whole, I was, flying to see my father and then flying back, and a whole other level of reality in the deepest sense. So it was all this wonderful prison, and depending on what way you turned it, it was magical and it was heartbreaking.
Wow. Yeah, but that incredible performance exists forever on screen. On to Aunt B and Radio Days. And
Aunt B. Oh, wow.
She just wants to be married. Yeah.
Just wants to be married. That's based on Woody's real aunt, who really was wonderful to him when he was a boy. And he really loved her. He really loved her. I was thrilled to play her.
Well, this brings up something I've noticed over and over again in your films. There's these powerful reaction shots, sometimes just seconds long. You know how to play to the camera and give these brief but potent looks, these glances. It started in the Woody films, but it continues throughout your career. Like Robert Joy telling you he's gay. The priceless reaction you have to that. And then in September, when it's revealed that Elaine Stritch actually pulled the trigger, there's just this like second reaction shot that's cut to you. I mean, how do you do that? Where does that come from?
I guess I don't know. I don't know.
Well, it's a gift.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for that. Thank you.
And speaking of September, I know that film was shot twice. I'm curious, what were those dynamics like?
They were rough. I had 3 doctors. We started out with Michael Keaton, and then it went to Sam Shepard, and then it went to Sam Waterston. He was trying to be, or he is in his way, Chekhovian, but he was trying to do an interior like, Uncle Vanya, which really takes place all in this house. And I remember him saying to me, it may work in theater, but in film, you've got to get outside. You've got to break it up. Otherwise, it's claustrophobic. And I thought, that's so interesting that that's what he learned from that.
Wow. Well, and it felt so Bergman-esque as well. There was so much angst in that film, but I think that film was, you're Stephanie in that film. The build to where you ended up in that film, I thought was rather extraordinary. Was there a rehearsal process? Did you get a lot of rehearsral with Woody? No?
None.
Wow.
None that I remember. No, I don't even remember. I mean, you come on the set and he says, okay, and we do it. And he'll say, could you be here? Or could you say it this way? And then we start shooting. And then, he'll shoot very few, a couple or 3 takes if it's all there. And if it's not, he'll talk to you. But he doesn't like actors to say, which I had to learn to be quiet very quickly. And then there's another level of discussion you can have about the script as a whole, which he's happy to talk about, but he doesn't want to know your process and what what you had for breakfast. And he doesn't want to know any about that. He just wants you to do it, which I appreciate. And also, if he had to talk to everybody who wanted to talk to him, he'd never have a minute to direct or act.
That's true. Then you got your third nomination for Parenthood, which is it was so much fun watching you, Keanu Reeves, Martha Plimpton, and the person who would become Joaquin Phoenix all working together.
It was incredible. It was incredible. And of course, I had no idea, but these kids and how Ron knew, I guess the word was out, about Keanu and Joaquin, the word was out. Joaquin was this beautiful little 13-year-old boy. I mean, just so beautiful as he is now. I mean, he's so beautiful. And so was Keanu. But I remember Keanu, when he was talking about his father flicking cigarette ashes on him as a little boy, film. And I thought, wow, that guy is powerful. That guy is really powerful. And he had a very, crazy small role. And then with, I want to say River, with Joaquin, he had a depth. There was no acting. There was just this river of openness and vulnerability. They were extraordinary. And then Martha's Martha, Martha's just over the moon.
Yeah, she was so good. And she's really coming into her own now.
Isn't she?
Yeah.
She's wonderful.
Oh my God. And then some vain Hollywood legend is created in 1994 with, if I had to select my favorite Dianne Wiest performance, it's Bullets Over Broadway. My God, where did she come from?
Oh my God, that was luck. That was luck. Woody wrote this incredible thing, and I thought, I read it and I said to him, who did you think was going to play this? Me? I had no idea what he was talking about with me doing this. And I just began, and it was awful. And he took me into dailies. He said, look, and I said, well, it's awful. You've got to fire me and find somebody who can do this. I said, just let's call this off. This is, I'm not going to continue to shoot that awful stuff that you see in the dailies. And he said, no. And he said, I have an idea. And I'd done a play the previous summer where I lowered my voice. I worked with this voice teacher and I lowered my voice. And he said something like, do a low voice. And so the next day we went in and it was the martini shot, the scene with the martinis. And I lowered my voice and I was such a nervous wreck, but I lowered my voice and I kept it down there. And I found I could do anything. I could be anybody. I could do anything as long as I wasn't in my voice. I could be that outrageous person. Wow. Helen Sinclair.
That's so interesting. I felt like there was this like battered subtext to her. Did you envision a woman who had gone through quite a bit?
Well, a woman at the end of her career. And when she doesn't have a career, she has nothing, because it was all about that. So yes, I mean, she was at the beginning of the end.
Did you think that Helen was talented on like the level of a Laurette Taylor, or was she more?
No, not at all. Not at all. She didn't have a depth of talent. What she had was flamboyance and a fear, like an Elaine Stritch.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. Like Elaine.
And that was Oscar number 2. And from what I remember, you were pretty much winning all the awards that year. So that had to have been expected, no?
No, because I knew I could do it now with the low voice, but the feeling of fakery, never sort of left me. But then that fakery is what Helen does. And so in another way, I couldn't go wrong. But I remember this person called me up who'd seen a preview, and they said, "Oh, Dianne, this is incredible." And I thought, wonder what's wrong with this person. What did she look at, or did they have champagne at the screening, or what? And that was the first call, and I'll never forget it. And then the calls came, and I thought, oh, people like this. People really like this performance.
Dianne, I have to tell you something. I was in grad school at NYU, and it was the centerpiece at the New York Film Festival that year. And I was in the audience at the very first showing of Bullets Over Broadway. And
oh my God.
You were there, and the audience was cackling like we were missing dialogue left and right because we were bowled over laughing. I will never forget the experience. Up to that point, don't think I ever laughed so much at a film, except when I was much younger, at maybe 9 to 5, but not like hurting with laughter. It was just the most joyous New York experience for me.
How wonderful. How wonderful.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
So from that, you went on to work with Mike Nichols on The Birdcage.
Yeah. I did.
Tell me about that experience, because there was no, I was going to say it was a film. It was very interesting because La Cage aux Folles had come out in the late 70s. It got a bunch of surprise Oscar nominations. Then it became a Broadway show. And then all of a sudden in the 90s, it's adapted into a film. It was very bizarre, but it worked because of the cast, I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was bizarre that he was doing this also. And the French is so brilliant, you know. But there was Gene Hackman. You know, in a woman's dress, a size 205, little girl patent leather shoe. You know, it was just incredible, that cast, and Robin, and I mean, it was just amazing. And Callista Flockhart, that little girl, you know.
Yeah. And then I have to then Robert Redford on the Horse Whisperer you worked with.
Yeah. I don't think he was too thrilled with me on that. I'm not really I couldn't ride a horse. I'm a drag, you know. I was just a drag on that film, I think. So, but it was great he is so beautiful. You know, and he's so friendly and so open. And you sit there talking to him, and all of a sudden you can't remember what you're talking about, because his beauty, or at least with me, his beauty is just so mesmerizing. And I thought, the poor man has had to live with this all his life. People just stop talking and gazing at him, you know. It's very hard to have a decent, and he's very, very, as you know, I mean, the start of Sundance, and he's a brilliant guy.
Wow. And right after that, I have to ask, because my husband's a huge fan of this film. And I got a feeling there was a really good film in there somewhere, if you don't mind me saying so, but the cast was great, and that's Practical Magic.
Oh,
you guys were fantastic together, this quartet of women.
Right.
The film itself,
it's a little rocky, but they were wonderful. Weren't they wonderful?
Oh, I mean, God, really yes.
Were. And the little girls who then grew up to be these great stars. I mean, incredible.
Yeah, that's just wonderful. Like,
with a lot of great kids.
Yeah, but you and Stockard as the witches were just, I think you stole the film, so.
Thank you.
And A Guide to Recognizing Your Saints was next. And I have to tell you, you had that monologue with Robert Downey Jr. near the end of the film that was just absolutely extraordinary. I can only imagine you reading the script and seeing that monologue and saying, yeah, got to do this movie.
Yeah. And Ditto is something. He's really something. And there you have a young Channing Tatum and a baby. I don't know if it was first or second film. His name's just flown, who I adore, Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and Shia, the film that he made was incredible. You must have seen that. That was an incredible film.
Yeah, that autobiography. Yeah, it was amazing.
It was amazing. Brilliant.
He's quite a talent.
Oh gosh.
And speaking of, then there was a Rabbit Hole which I actually just watched last night, which I'd seen before, but I thought that was a pretty powerful.
It was a powerful movie. Yeah. Yeah. Nicole really bared her soul there. What a difficult movie to do.
Yeah. And I enjoyed your Kennedy curse moment in the bowling alley. You have this wonderful moment.
Oh, yes. I remember the bowling alley. Right.
And okay, so now we come to I Care a Lot, which was a hoot. And your character was somebody, I love the women, the two women in this film were allowed to be mean and nasty, and we were still allowed to love them. And I especially loved your characters. I wanted catharsis for your character. I actually wanted your character to murder Rosamund Pike in the end.
Oh, I would have loved to. I would have loved to. I would have loved to. I tried. But they wouldn't let me get away with it. And besides, Rosamund's too nice. So I couldn't.
It's such an enjoyable film, though. Was it enjoyable to make as well?
Yeah, it really was. She is lovely. And the director was wonderful. It was a little scary, being locked up in that home. I don't think I prepared myself enough for the reality, or not the reality, but the actual feeling of being locked up and helpless, that all she's done to all of these people.
Yeah.
And I mean, I got out, but the other people didn't,
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I only got out, yeah. And this is taken from life. This really is happening, or did happen a lot, and has happened in America.
Okay, now we come to Let Them All Talk, Steven Soderbergh's Let Them All Talk, with Meryl and Candace. And wow, shot in 10 days on a ship, and you guys got to improvise. Do you enjoy improvisation?
Oh, it was heaven. I just loved it. That was heaven. I adore Steven Soderbergh. I just adore him. I mean, he accords you such dignity. He accords the actor such respect that you really don't come across, you don't come across anywhere anymore. You used to, but I haven't been treated like that. He really is amazing. And then he's brilliant. He shot the whole thing himself. He's a cinematographer as well as this great director. And he just put the camera in a wheelchair. There was no dolly laid down, no track, no millions of crews and millions of lights. The camera he had the light, and there was just nothing. And they all had to dress up. All the crew had to dress up in order to shoot in the dining room on the Queen Mary. They really had to wear tuxes. So we had the most handsome, good-looking group of guys. It was wonderful. In their tuxedos, from everybody, the sound, everybody had a tuxedo on or a ball gown.
That's so great. Wait,
It was wonderful.
did you know that how Susan was going to end up? Did you know she was going to have a brand new occupation? No?
No, not a clue. We didn't, that sort of evolved. Yeah. And
I
then we
l-
went back and we shot that last scene with Dan. Grant, we shot that last scene after Stephen had made the initial edit. And so then, you know, that's how she showed up. That's how she ended. I mean, it was nice.
Dianne, what challenges you as an actor, and how has that evolved throughout your career?
Yeah, I'd say Woody challenged me like no one else. His mind, he's, you know, I guess because he's an actor, he's a writer, and he's a director, his mind is so clear about what he's doing, and clarity is not in high supply in this business. Everything's a little murky, as you probably know.
Yeah.
So he challenged me more than anyone. But I think, and I also fit. I don't know how to explain this. I'm not a Hollywood, I wish I was, but I never knew how to get in. I basically, believe it or not, as I'm chattering on a mile a minute, you wouldn't want me at a party because I get really shy and have nothing to say. And when I do talk, it's just, you know, well, you know, I did the laundry today. And then that's all I have to say, because I feel so shy and self-conscious. But I fit with Woody. I was able to talk with him. And I don't fit with many people. And the other challenge is Samuel Beckett. And that's a play I did 3 times, Happy Days.
Happy Days.
And I live to do it again, but I don't think that will ever happen. Mm-hmm. But I had 3 productions of that, and that's the most alive I've ever been in my career, across any, you know, that was just that expanded me more as a person and as an actor than anything I've ever done.
Wow, that's incredible. And I'm so sorry I never got to see that. I did see you live on stage 3 times. I saw you in Third, Wendy Wasserstein's last play.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I did see you in All My Sons, which I thought you were absolutely riveting in.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Rashida Speaking was the...
Oh, you saw Rashida. Wow.
I didn't. I thought it was...
You know who came to Rashida? The last, I saw Sidney Poitier.
Oh, really?
Sidney Poitier, the audience left one night and there was Poitier sitting there with his family and to say hello to us. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, wow. It was such a thought-provoking piece of theater. It really was.
It really was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really loved doing that.
You were going through a rough time then. Is all of that okay now?
It's wonderful.
Good. I'm knocking on wood for you because I'm Italian.
Yeah. Thank you for asking.
Good. I would love to keep you all day. I have 7 million questions.
I would love to talk to you all day. I want to go to the movies with you.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to. I just have like maybe 1 or 2 more questions and then I will wrap. Is there a film performance you look back on that you feel you got the most out of in terms of advancing your craft? You know, there's one, I don't think you've seen it.
it's called Independent, or it was called Independence Day. Do you
1983.
know
I
what
could not get my hands on it.
No, it's out of existence now. And it was sort of, Pauline Kael was writing for the Times then, and she sort of dismissed it. And then, like 15 or 20 years later, she was writing for the New Yorker, and somehow she saw it again. And she gave it this incredible review, and especially the character I was playing, because it was an abused woman. And she said, oh, all Dianne does is mope around and everything. But actually, I never mind, it's too complicated. But she re-reviewed it and gave it a glowing review from a perspective of what is, from, I guess, how her knowledge had increased on abused women.
Wow.
And it was, that's the film I learned the most. It was one of the great roles I've ever had, and nobody saw it. And now it's just disappeared, you know, but that's all.
I'm going to go and search. I'm pretty good at finding those rare treasures.
Are you, Frank?
I am.
Okay.
I'm going to find it. I'm going to see it. What do you see as your breakthrough performance?
That would be Hannah.
Hannah.
Yeah, that would be Hannah. No question. I mean, you know, nobody knew who I was. And then after that, yeah, hindsight, right?
Yeah.
I had no idea. I had no idea. It was just blinding.
Bullets was your last film with Woody. Were you asked to be in any film subsequently? No.
Well, I've asked him.
Oh.
And I've asked him, and we're still friends. I haven't seen him in a couple of years. He's, you know, having to shoot in Europe now, but you know, I would see him. They would have me over for dinner. I love him very much.
I am such a fan, as you know. My final question to you is, what's up next for Dianne Wiest? What can we look forward to? Well,
If you would just get me a production of Happy Days, and then you could see it. And I've got the director. I think I remember most of the lines. It could be a short rehearsal. It wouldn't cost, well, the set is what is so prohibitive. The set costs a fortune.
Because you're buried,
But
right?
next, buried up to the waist in the first act, up to the neck in the second act. What a writer. What a great writer. But next they renewed, or they didn't renew, what do you call it? Mayor of Kingston is going to get another season.
Yay.
Oh, well, good. And so I'll be shooting in Pittsburgh come spring.
Okay. Fantastic.
With luck. With luck.
Okay.
And that's all I know.
Well, hopefully we'll see you on screen as well. Dianne, thank you for taking this time out. Honestly, you know, it's funny. I tend to fall down rabbit holes when it comes to certain women, not just women, directors, actors, and you've been one of my rabbit holes. I think you're an extraordinary actor, and in terms of film history, you remind me a great deal of in terms of a woman who never got the recognition that I felt that she deserved, Thelma Ritter, who, if you look at her body of work, was so much more extraordinary than she was ever given credit for. She wasn't just this person who just did this one thing. If you watch her entire body of work, I think you're actually way superior to Thelma Ritter. I think that it shocks me you've never had a lead role on screen. So maybe we can work towards that. What do you think?
Okay, I'm with you. Thank you so much, Frank. What a pleasure.
Thank you for taking the time.
Okay, take care of yourself.